Awesome. Thank you, Jen. Well, thank you everyone for being here. And for today's call, actually, what I wanted to do is I had this idea of kind of tuning into more what's going on in the collective energies. And I'm usually pretty in tune with that, but then also a lot of people come to me, right, for help, and the same themes keep recurring. And what I've been noticing the last few weeks is a lot of it is like dealing with conflict in a way, dealing with old relationships that might be dissolving, or where we're not on the same wavelength with people. I don't know if anybody's experiencing that in their life, but I know for myself, I've been experiencing that. Oh, there you go, Jen. So one of the questions I get a lot is like, when you're in like in a conflict with somebody, a part of us knows that everything is in a sense is a reflection of ourselves and it's there to serve us. But what I get often is like, what's the point here? Like, I don't just want to walk away from the situation and push it away to then have the same situation return to me through another person, right? And do that. But at the same time also, when I feel like I'm done with this pattern, why put myself through unneeded torture or just having to deal with this? I don't know if anybody can relate to this in their life. So what I wanted to talk, I saw a few hands, awesome. And what I just wanted to talk about is how I work through this with people, and also in my own life, because anytime we're in conflict with somebody, it's really not our core that is at conflict, right? It's the ego construct of one person that is clashing with the ego construct of another person, ultimately empowering both, right? Because this construct of the ego just, it feeds off of that. It feeds off of this energy. So ultimately, I think all of us, at least where we're going also as a collective, it's time to release that sense of separate self and release that ego. So what I say with the conflict is the art's really to receive the gift that is in this situation. And anytime somebody can push your buttons or trigger you, it means that they have the remote to a part of yourself, right? In a way that's where we have compromised ourselves, or because of our beliefs, right? We've given that away, because now oftentimes this happens unconsciously, right? Somebody says something or looks at us a certain way, and we just go in this reaction. Something gets triggered within us. So ultimately, the cure to being with that is just awareness, right? If you can just be with the feelings, you'll see that they will come and go. But what I've learned over time is that for a lot of people, from us coming from a society and from an upbringing where we have to do, to just be aware, that's too big of a step. So what I wanted to do today is to shed some more light on conflict, and how do you deal with that, and how do you decide when it's time to walk away, that you're not just running from it, right? And also why this is coming up, and then I suggest I have some processes that we're going to do on how you actually like practically deal with this in a real life situation. Now, for all of you on this call, obviously there's an interest of doing your inner work, right? You're all moving to a different, what I call, vibrational plane. of reality. Now you have to know, like, let's say you're in a relationship or you've entangled with somebody at this level of reality. The moment you start moving away from that, right? If you've been entangled with it, when you pull away from it, it's going to pull back at you. That's just a laws of physics. It's almost like a rocket trying to leave the planet. It has to get to a certain speed, a certain momentum to get away from the gravitational pull. And the same happens when there's charge within us, right? Imagine that if we have a charge that gets triggered by another person, it's like two magnets that get activated, and one cannot be there with the other. So as far as like how do you know you're like done with something, it's really when you can come to like zero charge, right? When you can come to what I call a zero balance on something. Like the things might still be playing out, but you don't feel the charge within you, the urge to react, the urge to say something. And that's ultimately where you want to be able to to be in the world, right? Because as we're moving, and I see that with a lot of people now, a lot of people are stepping up in vibration. They're moving into a different plane. And as that happens, it's like the old world kind of pulls back at you, right? So does anybody have any questions around that, or is that clear to anybody what I mean with like if there's no longer a charge left within you? So how does that charge manifest in our body? It's a feeling, right? When something comes up and there's an unresolved charge, that's a feeling within the body. So really what we want to do is we want to bring our awareness back to our own feelings and resolve those.
Nico,
So just by a show of hands, is there anybody like newer on the call? Is everybody familiar with the work we've done with touching out of frame into space and pointing to where you feel it?
Nico, there's quite a few people who are new on the call.
Anybody?
Nico, I have you on speaker with everybody here at Lavanya. And so I think we're probably gonna do what we did yesterday. How's that sound?
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Okay, great.
I'm just because this part of the day in Egypt, a lot of people are online, and the internet's not it's not that stable. So
Okay, Nico, let me check in with everybody and see. Can you hear Nico? Can somebody give me a thumbs up that this is clear? Okay, cool. So people can hear you. And yeah, no, thanks for being with us. I know it's really late there. And we appreciate it. And I wanted to let you know, I don't know if you saw that Shira has had her hand up and she has a question. Is now a good time to have her ask the question? And
absolutely.
Shira, you want to come on?
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. This is snowdrops for you, Nico.
Oh, Shira is showing us an image of some beautiful snowdrop flowers.
This is real flowers from my friend's garden. Just real quick, Nico, it's so timely for me that you are discussing this subject, because at musical rehearsal, our guitar player all of a sudden just turned into a black cloud because I had asked to do a Beatles song a certain way. And he just said quite angrily, I want to do it the way the Beatles do it on the recording. And the energy was so negative that I just immediately said, fine, whatever you want to do. And he started on, and then I just said very firmly, end of discussion. And then later on, I had a chance to compliment him on something he was doing well, but it felt like I dodged a bullet. And this is just confirmation of how very important what you're doing is to me personally, and like how it's already applied to my life before you started. So thank you very much.
Oh, thank you for sharing that. That's beautiful. So, like I mentioned earlier, when we get in conflict, it's typically our egos and the ego of the other person, of what we believe to be right and what the other person believes to be right, and that starts to clash. Now, how does the ego, and I call it like the endless ghost obsession, it's this image, right, that we believe we are, but it's really not our true self. It's what society has told us, right? It's what everybody has told us that we would be. The likes and dislikes of the other becomes this image that we then not only want to live up to, but we also want to defend it. And then we also want to defend it against other people's images, right? And because of that, we keep on empowering it. Now, from my experience, how does the ego manifest in the different layers? For me personally, on a physical layer, you will feel that there is like a tension, right? There is like a contraction that you feel within the physical body, and then in the emotional body, it's typically a feeling of like not feeling good, right? Another contraction, and then in the mental body, it's typically a clinginess to certain thoughts. Right, and stories start to run. Now we all have to actually do the opposite of what we usually do. So instead of like getting more tense in our body, it's important, right, to breathe and relax more, right? And as far as the clinginess in the mind to the story, it's just not doing that and not going into story mode. And the best way I found to do that is actually go into the feeling, into the body, and clear that. Right? Most people try to rationalize in their head first with the story, hoping they can then get relief of the feeling or inside. From my experience, it works the other way around. If you want to get rid of the story in your head, go to where you feel it in your body, right? And releasing that. And in the previous calls, we've shown different techniques to clear feelings that are in the body. And that is always the first. That's always the first step in any interaction. People are like, what do I say to this? Or how should I act when this person does that? My first question is, you should first go inside and see if there's a charge, see if there's a feeling. Because if there is a bad feeling that you're reacting to, you're actually adding more fuel to the fire. So my advice is, don't act or even go say anything before you get to a zero balance with yourself. Else you're just gonna keep on perpetuating the issue. So what I would like to do today is I want to go through a process where we can use the coding system of our neurology to step in a different version of ourselves that isn't triggered by those things. And I can show you how the interface that we've been using to clear emotions can really help you accomplish this. And we'll do this process, and so everybody can have an experience to do this for themselves. And then what I suggest afterwards, we can go into, if you have any personal issues, anything you want to release, any questions, we can go into that after the process. Does that sound good? So the first step is always, if we have a particular issue, is we want to release the feeling that is connected to it, right? Now, for this particular process, I wanna go. I want to approach it a little different. So I joined, I invite everybody, to participate in this, and I would like you to imagine, right, what it would be like if you could not be triggered at all, like your triggerless self. Right? You might have a memory of that, or when you were just like on top of the world, and you're like, yeah, nothing bothers me. Or if you don't, what might that be like? Right? And I want you to see what you would see. Let's say nothing in the world could trigger you. You're just so much in your center. Nothing what anybody says or does can really bother you. And I want you to see what you see. Be that way. Hear what you hear. Smell and taste what you might smell and taste. And then notice if you see what you see when you're that triggerless version of yourself that just cannot be bothered by any other action. As you hear what you hear, smell and taste what you smell and taste, I want you to notice that there's a good feeling in your body that starts. And point to where that is for you. Just put your hand there. That's right. And I want you to notice when you put your hand there that there's a color or a series of colors connected to that feeling of being completely triggerless. That's right. And just take note of that color or colors. And then imagine a big ball of that energy hanging over your head. And with every breath you take, with every beat of your heart, it just starts flowing into your body, getting stronger and stronger and brighter and brighter. That's right. Just notice how that energy starts surrounding you and starts completely filling every cell in your body. That's right. Beautiful. Now, if there were an image floating in the space around you that represents that triggerless self of yours, point to it with your other hand where that is. So reach out and point to it. That's right. And then put a frame around it so we can see how big it is. That's right. And then hold in front of you. Good. Now what I want you to do is I want you to notice where you picked that frame from. Just take note of that location up there, wherever it is for you. And I want you to look at the frame. And what I want you to do is I want you to look at it and I want you to notice when you look at this, do you see yourself in the third person or do you see yourself in the first person? If you see yourself in the third person, put yourself in the first person and then notice what happens to the feeling. Typically it gets stronger for most. Then notice if it's like a still image or a moving image. That's right. If it's still, make it moving and then notice how the feeling even increases. Notice if there's any sound attached to it. Right? And all I want you to do is take note of all those attributes and dial them to where the feeling gets stronger and stronger, that feeling of being triggerless, that nothing can mess with you until it's absolutely perfect. That's right. Make it really strong. Beautiful. And when you have that, just put it to the side. We're going to use it a little later. Beautiful. Good. Now what I would like you to do, I want you to think of a situation in your life that triggers you. something that you really don't want to be triggered about, just think about that and tune in. See what you see, hear where you hear, smell and taste what you might smell and taste. And then notice that there's a place in your body where you feel that feeling of being triggered. Just put your hand there. That's right. Doing great. Now with your other hand, if there were an image floating in the space around you that's connected to this feeling, reach out with your other hand and touch that image. That's right. Now put a frame around this image. Good. And then grab it and look at it. Now here's what I want you to do. I want you to take that other frame back that we worked with earlier, put it side to side. And all I want you to do in this frame we're working with now, I want you to make the attributes. The movie is going to be different, the image is going to be different, but I want you to make all the attributes the same. That's right. Make the sound the same, the color, if the other one is moving. Make it moving. If there's any sounds, dial them up to the same volume. Any other attributes from that other frame of the triggerless self, make them all the same until they're identical. That's right. When you know it's exactly the same, all attributes, I want you to grab this frame of what is bothering you typically, and I want you to stick it in the place where you got that other frame from, of the triggerless self, and then notice what happens. Most people, it goes in straight away. If it's not, take it back, make a few more changes until you know it's exactly right, and then stick it in that place where that triggerless version of yourself lives. And when it goes in, and when it stays, take a deep breath. And then think back about that situation and notice what happens instead. Anybody has any feedback? What did you notice? Marcia, can you unmute yourself?
I noticed that it didn't make any difference anymore. I'm not upset or angry.
Beautiful. How does that make you feel?
Wonderful.
Great, Shira, you noticed.
Yeah, it was like the situation I described. The pianist called me later and she said, "I'm sorry if he hurt your feelings." And I said, "I gave up having my feelings hurt a long time. And it's pretty hard to insult me." And so that was working in your process. And it just slipped right in. The feeling, the good one was in my heart, and the trigger was in my head, and it was pretty easy to do your process. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome. Patricia, good to see you.
Hello, Nico. It's good to see you and everybody too. Interestingly enough, just before this call at 2:45, someone called me regarding a call that we do in the morning, and she was explaining how she thought it should be. And I could feel a knot right here of like being pushed. And I took a deep breath and tried to be as calm as possible and just be with it, Nico. Just be with it and not come from the ball here about feeling how I felt, but instead going to a higher place in consciousness around it. Feeling it, it was there, no doubt, and I wasn't going to push it away because I know what happens with that. And then I get on the call and what are you talking? Oh, I have to tell you, it's fantastic because the ball is gone. It's gone. I'm so grateful. Thank you.
Nice.
Thank you.
So in the previous calls, I mean, this interface works for a lot of things, right? This interface also works for belief changes. Belief changes can be that simple. So just to run through the process again, which is that every state within you is anchored in your body. Plus, it's all also, as we talked about before, the information is stored somewhere in your auric field, right? So the triggerless version of you, and this goes for anything that you want to change, it all lives somewhere. Right? It's always through the feeling, through anchoring in with our senses, what that might be like. We get the physical anchor point, right? And then when we go and reach out and find the location, that is where it is coded in our neurology, right? So then when we take that frame, we're really working, in this case, with the triggerless version. We're going to look at the attributes. The image is not that important, but what you want to do is you want to make it as strong as you can. So if you're the third person, put yourself in the first person. If it's not moving, make it moving. Add sound. Any other attributes you know. Notice about it, take note of it, make them stronger. Put that frame aside. And then call up the situation where you're not that version of yourself. Right? You're being triggered. Same thing. We always start with point to where you feel it. That's the nexus point in our physical reality where all that comes together. We point to where we feel the bad feeling of being triggered. Right? We make sure we feel it. And then we go and notice where that is stored. And then what we do is we pull that frame up. We pull that image up. And what we're going to do is we're going to change it until the movie's not going to be the same. The image is not going to be the same, but we make the attributes the same until they're a complete match. Once they're a complete match, you take the triggered version and you stick it where the triggerless version of yourself lives. And you'll notice when it goes in, you usually take a deep breath. And it's gone. I had people that I worked with, and this happens quite a bit. I was like, try to get that old feeling back in there. I don't even remember what it was like. It can be that profound. Now, sometimes you might notice that it will not stick there or it will not go into that new place. Just bring it back, change the attributes more until it matches. And then do it again. Yes, Clinton.
For me, what I thought of was like a circuit breaker, when you have to put the fuses in to make something work, And I didn't know if I was doing it right, but it was like, wow, all of a sudden my eyes just opened up like, oh, okay, that's better. But it was very profound. I really appreciate that.
You're welcome. Thank you. And the sky, I mean, beyond the sky, there's no limits with this. You can use this for limiting beliefs. It's the same thing. If you have a certain limiting belief around yourself, you find out where the other part of you lives. You feel what it's like. You go find that. And then when you're in doubt about something or something where you have that limiting belief, you know where you feel that, and you do the same process. Okay? Anybody have any questions about this? Okay? No. All right, let's do another one. Just for practice. I'm sure everybody can think of another thing that triggers them. Right? All right, so first, let's go back and get into the triggerless version. Just imagine yourself. If nothing could trigger you, what might that be like? See what you see, hear what you hear, smell and taste what you smell and taste. Nothing in the world can trigger you. And when you see that and when you hear that, you smell and taste what you smell and taste, you notice there's a triggerless feeling within your body. Point to where that is. Notice the colors or color. And with every breath you take, with every beat of your heart, just notice that color expand, or those colors getting stronger and stronger, brighter and brighter, spreading through your entire body. That's right. Just keep making it stronger and stronger. And when it's that strong that nothing outside, if you can turn it off, try to turn it off and notice what happens instead. That's right. And then reach out where the frame is associated with that triggerless cell. Touch that frame. Grab it. Bring it closer. Look at it. Check out the attributes. Are you in first person or are you looking at yourself? If you're looking at yourself, make yourself in first person. Is it still or is it a movie? But still, make it a movie. Dial it up to where that feeling gets stronger and stronger, makes it absolutely perfect. Change the sound, change the volume. Any other attributes you notice, just take them. All those attributes. When you know you got it, just put it to the side. That's right. Now, all I want you to do is just think about that thing that bothers you, that thing that triggers you. Okay? And I want you to notice that you see what you see, hear what you hear, smell and taste what you smell and taste, that has a different feeling in your body where you get triggered. That's right. Just point to where you feel this in your body. That's right. Now, if there were an image associated with this feeling of being triggered in your body and the space around you, point to where that is. That's right. And then grab that, put a frame around it, grab it, and bring it so you can look at it. Now put it next to the previous frame, make them the same size, and start changing the attributes. You know, if in the other one you were in first person, put yourself in first person. That's right. If it was a movie, make it a movie. Make all the attributes, the colors, the sounds, level, everything the same. Until you know that they're an exact match as far as attributes. And when you know you got that, when they match exactly, take that thing that used to trigger you and then stick it where that triggerless version of yourself lives. Watch it go in. That's right. And take a deep breath. Let that breath out with a sigh. And try to get that old trigger situation back. And notice what happens instead. Right. Good. All right. Good. So that's an exercise you can use for that. And no matter what the situation is, you never want to act from a place of charge, from a place of having, because it feeds off each other. right? When the other person has a charge around it and you come in with a charge, like it just amplifies and keeps going. Now the issue is that those are unconscious reactions. We're not aware of this, right? So the antidote to that is awareness. And the best way I found is really to not open my mouth or take any action from that place of charge. Because what is really going on when you feel that emotion, when you feel that trigger, that's the vibrational level that you're at. That's where the problem, in a sense, lives. You cannot solve it from there, right? First you have to come to a higher vibrational level. And only from there can you take an action that will actually not keep repeating the same pattern over and over. Right? Good. Any questions around that, or anybody have anything they want to get rid of? Anything that's bothering you? Anything we can help you with? Amy.
Hello. I guess thank you for that. That was very powerful in that this is very new to me.
Yes.
And I'm not sure if the imagery I did was correct or not, but I did feel a difference. And one of my questions is it normal to have a change in color when you go into a triggerless state? Because the first color I noticed was gold, and it was right about the third eye between my eyebrows. And the next time was red, and it was just above my hair or below my hairline. And
yes, and thank you, Amy, and welcome. So the most important thing with this is to always go with your first impression, right? Because it is the part of our mind, the conscious mind, that keeps us from resolving it. So what we're actually asking when we're asking that question, what's the color? Yes, absolutely. Go with that first impression. And let me ask you, you say you weren't sure if you did it right. Did you feel better afterwards?
I did. I felt a lot calmer, more peaceful. And I still have a question because I get taking the charge away from myself and being able to work with the feelings. What if you're dealing with someone like your mom who refuses to recognize this and keeps attacking you?
Mm-hmm. Well, yes, and then my question is, like, what would you want instead? Right. So now you're in a situation where your mom's attacking you. What would the best case scenario be for you? What would you want?
Being able to actually talk instead of being under attack.
Mm-hmm. Being able to talk, and what would do that for you if you could do that with your mom? Being able to talk about.
Definitely lower the stress levels, being able to move forward with positive ideas.
Mm-hmm. And if you could lower your stress level and move forward with positive ideas, like how would that make you feel?
Better in my life in general. Because I have a lot of depression, and so that would be less weight, less pressure, less heaviness. I'd feel like be able to be lighter. Yeah.
So like a lightness, right?
Yes.
Yes. So the secret here is to give that to yourself and not expect to get that from your mom. Right? And it sounds counter intuitive, but always bring the feeling that you want to come out of it. Bring that to the conversation. Get yourself in that state first, right? And then what is actually going to happen is it doesn't matter so much then whether the other person goes with that or not, but you're giving yourself what you're really after, right? So the power doesn't lie with somebody else. If only my mother could actually work with me and stop attacking, I could feel light, right?
Right.
Or less heaviness. You can feel that way right now, right? So I can't see you right now, but I want you to think about a time in your life where you just felt absolutely light, no heaviness. Right? And if you cannot come up with a memory, imagine what that might be like. To not feel any heaviness, just lightness. Just see what you would see, hear what you would hear, smell and taste what you would smell and taste. And as you see that, and as you hear that, and smell and taste what you smell and taste, notice that there's a feeling in your body connected to that lightness. Point to where you feel that. And then notice that there is a color, or even a series of colors attached to that feeling of lightness. That's right. And then imagine a big ball of that lightness hanging above your head. And with every breath you take, with every beat of your heart, just keeps growing stronger and stronger, brighter and brighter. And it starts filling up the room from wall to wall, with floor to ceiling, completely surrounding you. These beautiful colors, that beautiful feeling of lightness. And then with every breath you take, every beat of your heart, more and more of that feeling starts flowing into your body, filling every cell in your body with that feeling of lightness. Any place where there's heaviness, this energy flows in and just makes it lighter, just dissolves it. That's right. And you will notice that this energy will get so strong that nothing outside of you can turn it off, not even your mom. And when you know it's that strong, test it. Try to turn it off. And then notice what happens instead. What do you notice when you try to do that, Amy?
That feeling stays with me.
That's right. So that is the secret to bring that feeling to the conversation, right? Which is the feeling of the end result. Many of us, when we think about the end result of when we have a conversation with somebody, we think in terms of like, I want the other person to say or do this or do that, right? Or not do this or not say that. Why? Because underneath it, we have an expectation of coming out of it with a certain feeling. The secret to that is like bring the feeling to the conversation. Give yourself what you're really after. And then from that higher plane, if you look back from this lightness on any situation with your mom, for example, can you notice how you even look at it differently from this feeling than you would typically?
Yeah. Yeah. It's That's very powerful.
Right. So that's the thing, because listen, this is about reparenting yourself and basically giving you what you need. So we don't try to control others into behaving or saying what we want to say so we can feel. Give yourself the feeling. Right. And if you can have that feeling and you can hold that feeling, what does it even matter what the other person says at that point? Right?
Right.
Typically, what you will see happen is a shift within them too, but it also might have the opposite effect, right? To where they just don't want to deal with you. And that's fine too. Right? Because ultimately everything we're after a certain feeling. So ask yourself, before you go into a conversation with somebody, let's say you have a conflict with somebody, or the first thing I would do is go through your feeling state. Anything bad about it, clear it. Use the magic frame, use the color breathing that we've done in previous sessions, the spinning, and clear those emotions. And then ask yourself, as far as this interaction with this person, what would I want my outcome to be? And keep asking yourself, why is that important to me? Why is that important to me? What would that give me if I had that? Ultimately, you will come to a feeling. When you come to that feeling, that is really the vibrational state that you're after. That is the vibrational state where also any resolution lives. So put yourself into that vibrational state. Right? This is about taking responsibility for how you feel, like your ability to respond, right? Not reactability, not just react. Getting triggered, unconscious, just do the same thing over and over. No, it's about your ability, it's your responsibility. Can you respond? Responding means like you get triggered, so a charge within you comes up. Rather than saying something or doing something and getting caught in it, pause. Take a deep breath, right? And then resolve that feeling until you're really clear with it. And then only from that place, say something or take action. And quite honestly, from my own experience, more often than not, when that charge is like gone, usually you don't even feel like saying anything anymore. Right? I hope that helps, Amy.
Thank you so much. It really does. I'm going to be playing the playback of this in my mind until I get it down better. But that's a huge help, and it really makes sense in a lot of ways. And yes, thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome. All right. Anybody else have anything that's come up that you want to get rid of, that you would like some help with? If not, we'll play with some other things.
Nico, Mary just waved at you. Mary Boston.
Mary, do you want to unmute?
Sure. Hi, Nico.
All right.
I'm not sure that this is something, but it irritates me. So I guess it does trigger me. And it's these incessant phone calls that keep coming in that are like, they're fake, but they're trying to pretend like they're real. And it's like, I say, I'm not going to let this bother me. And then I'll see another one come in and I'm not going to answer it. And then somehow or another, it'll look like a phone number that I recognize, and I'll pick it up and I'll go, oh no, it's not. It's one of those. And I feel all over again. And I'm going, I'm not gonna let this bother me. And then I just end up just hanging up on them. But it's a trigger, I would say. No?
Yeah, absolutely. And I could see as you're talking about it, that, you know, it really irritates you. I totally get it. So now that you're already in it, where do you feel that in your body?
Right in my stomach.
Yeah. Yeah. So just put your left hand there. And then on a scale from 0 to 10, how much is it bothering you when you're thinking about it? With 10 being the absolute worst.
Right now, 10.
10? Great. That's awesome. Now, if there were an image to float in the space around you that's connected to that feeling, point it with your other hand. There you go. Both hands put a big black frame around it so we can see how big it is.
It's big.
It's big, yes, I can tell. That's right. Now grab it, Mary, and then make it smaller. And notice what happens to the feeling. Yes.
Oh, I get it now. Yeah.
Yes. All right. We're not done yet, so make it a little smaller to where it's more comfortable. Now, on the front of it, there's a knob, like on those old TVs, black or white. See which one feels better, all the way black or all the way white?
All the way white.
Okay, make it that color. Now, in your right hand, there's a pen. Start writing down all the lessons connected to this feeling. And it's like automatic writing. Just let your hand go. That's right. We're just writing down the lessons so we can release everything else. That's right. Cool thing is you don't even need to know what you write. Your hand will go, and when it's done, it'll stop moving. Take your time. Any feelings that come up, write them on there too. Anything that bothers you. That's right. Got it all? Good. You have it all?
Okay. Yeah.
Good. Now grab the frame, make it as small as a Post-it stamp, shrink it down. That's right. Now make it even smaller, make it as small as an atom. That's right. Float it over the top of your head. When you're ready to get rid of it, throw it behind you as far as you can. Nail it back there for all eternity, never to come back. Take a deep breath. Let that breath out with a sigh. And think back about those calls and then notice how different you feel.
Yeah. I feel very different. I feel really good.
Yeah.
I get peace. That tightness in my stomach is gone. That feels good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
It felt really good
Okay.
to experience that. And now I have a better understanding of it, I think. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes. You're welcome. So I'll show you something cool in a little bit here. But for all of you, what I recommend that we're in this period because we're like, I don't know how much of you are familiar with the 5 elements in Chinese medicine, but we're coming out of like the water element, which has the emotion of fear attached to us. We're coming out of the winter and we're heading into the spring by our next call, which is the wood element. Right, and the emotion tied into that is anger, right? And so know that over months to come, like much more of that can come up. So what I recommend you do is go bucket list, right? Go make your list, all the things that trigger you, right? Where you have relationships, where there's conflict, go tune into them. right? And clear with the techniques, the magic train, the spinning, right? The one we did today, where you put it in the triggerless self. Go clear all the emotions. Let's say you're a particular person that you have conflict with, right, or that triggers you a lot. Write all the triggers down. Clear them all with the techniques. And then once you're in that place and you put yourself in that triggerless state, ask yourself, is anything still to be said there? Is any action to be taken from that place? Right? And work from there. Work from the vibration of the solution, of the resolution, and bring that feeling. Remember, feelings are vibrations. Bring that feeling to it. And what you will see is the more triggers you resolve within yourself, whether you believe it or not, people actually always reflect back deeply how you feel about yourself within. So as these triggers, there's always a wound within you somewhere, a trauma, an old belief. That's why this is such a gift. So I tell people, just accept the gift and then leave everything else. Basically, somebody's coming to you and saying, like, hey, you gave this remote to me a long time ago that allows me to control you how you feel. I want you to have it back. Just take the remote back. Put it in your basket. Say thank you. And leave it at that. See the blessing. Right? And over time, in the beginning, maybe not, but over time, you'll really become grateful for that. Because, after that, you're going to feel so much better, so much more empowered. Right? So it's always a gift. Just take the gift. Leave the story. Leave everything else. Good. So I want to show you another technique that I use a lot, to where you can make a deep connection with people. Right? If you meet somebody, even like for the first time, or you have somebody and you wanna have a deeper connection. I'll show you, and first I'll let you feel it, right? And I'm just gonna tell you my name and just feel the energy, okay? My name is Nico. So notice how that feels, all right? Okay, and now I'm gonna do it a different way, all right? My name is Nico. You feel the difference? So my teacher David calls this the open heart, like trust trigger. And what you do is when you speak to somebody, I just want you to imagine that there's like a glass window over your heart, so they can see your actual heart. Right? And connect to the person that way. Simply imagining that you have a glass window here. Right? So here, look, I put a wall in front of it. I put a window in front of it. Feel the difference? And then if you want to even make it stronger, just imagine that your heart is radiating out a color that is showering that person. So you can really dial it up. And just imagine the glass window so the person can see your heart. Go there first and then say what you have to say. I would not do this if you're dealing with anybody that's, abusive or whatever, that wants to hurt you, right? But with somebody that you trust, play with that, right? And notice how different people respond to you when you do this. And it's a simple way to really create a bond, to create a connection, heart to heart. All right. That's most of what I had today as far as what I wanted to teach, but it's open to all of you. If you have an emotion that you want to get rid of, something that's bothering you, conflict, anything, like now's the time. Or any questions about what we did today? I mean, this is for you guys, so you get to decide. So.
Nico, I'll just add that all of the, your past recordings are in the user area of Lavanya for members, so they can access, you know, Nico's previous sessions with us, which are fascinating, just like this one.
Well, we're all leaving the call in a much clearer space than when we got on.
Say that
Good
again.
thing.
Patricia, did you say something?
I said we are all leaving in a much clearer space than when we got on, which is a good thing because we affect the planet. So thank you, Nico, for the wonderful work you do.